let's get to our topic at hand, which is hacking privileged identities gone bad. What are telltale signs that a credential has been compromised?
Some of the telltale signs is all of a sudden if you start seeing an identity, you see a spike in activity. Second is if you see anything that is what I call anomalous behaviors, look at historical patterns to determine what's normal, and anything that's not normal is abnormal.
The longer baseline that you have, the more standard patterns are going to emerge. I think it depends on kind of what your business is and where your risk factors are.
Hey, I got a question that came in from Steve Gigier. Can I trust ML, machine learning, or SIM use cases to determine normal and not generate false positives that create more work?
Machine learning is a good starting point to get to understand what's a false positive and what's real. It all depends on the length of the data they've collected. AI, ML-based algorithms are constantly learning, right? So the more data you feed in, the less number of false positives.
So good question that came in from Roland Garfien. Curious to hear your insight about the role of user provisioning process in this matter and how much the process can play a part in securing your privileged access by design.
When we think about, authentication in general or identity in general, let's focus on the authentication side of it, right? The last 3, 4, 5 years, now it's somewhere you are, and it's the activity you do.
If Dan is typically logging in from somewhere in the US, right? All of a sudden, if you see 10 minutes later, see Dan's credentials logging in from, let's just say, Australia, right? It's impossible for Dan to have traveled in the last 10 minutes from the US to Australia. So it's very key to actually make sure that we understand those variables.
Good question came in from Eli Migdal. What is a more risky scenario for a technological insider threat? A mid-level system administrator or a high-level non-techie executive? Let's play the what's worse game here.
It would be the mid-level. Just think of it from a consumer point of view. I'll pick on Amazon. But Jeff Bezos having his credentials released and somehow somebody can take something down, or a system admin at Amazon.
The fundamental thesis I would say high level exec breach, because typically high level execs typically have access to more confidential information.
We have Mike Wilkes, who I know is a brand new CISO over at SecurityScorecard. What's on your mind?
Did you guys already talk about integration with ServiceNow, where privileged users don't get to escalate up out of the password unless there's an active open ticket for the device they're trying to log into?
The goal is to actually make sure you get approval before you get access. But the idea is don't hand it out like candy, put in a stringent approval mechanism, and hence a process.
Welcome to the Department of Yes, where no request is ever rejected.
Hire someone named Pam to manage Pam and call it done. Why is that a good idea?
Everyone in the company would know to go to who manages Pam.
I've got one less thing to remember, right? I mean, hey, Pam managing Pam, like Dan said, that is just one less thing for the security team to remember.
Make the CEO the super admin and the sole approval authority for all other lesser admins.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one single process where everything, the CEO approves everybody's request, and everybody has super admin privileges, so everybody can roll up their sleeves and get everything done.
It ensures the access aligns with the business direction.
Dan, this question comes in from Reese. Do you need approval before you give access in all cases? Why can't you have tiers of access grants and report on grant or approve for grant?
I don't know that it happens a ton, because what I would argue is that SOC analysts should have already had that access. There are situations where you can set it up so that access is temporarily granted for an hour or two and then revoked automatically. And usually that will give time to kind of get the manager involved.
Got a question from Mike Wilkes. What's your best bullet point on PIM to present to the board of directors? Maybe a metric or an automated compliance test. Is there a metric specific around that you present?
In my previous role, when I was at Rally Health, we would talk a lot about, because we were a software-driven company, we would talk a lot about the number of software engineers that had privileged access, just because of the damage that they could do. And our goal was to continuously drive that number down as much as possible without impacting business operations.
That's a good point. question from Will Tulaba that's how do you battle bot identities that are the new hotness as companies try to automate processes to save money during this trying time?
I think of it as like, human users and the non-human users or machine users. Right? Typically what you see is there is a consistency and a pattern in terms of typically when you look at each of these machine accounts, user behavior, typically there are less of those patterns, right? That's the reason why you need a significantly longer history to figure out what the pattern, but really it's a broad set of things that we do.
All right, I am going to throw one more bad idea. By the way, this one has the stench of Dutch all over it. Play Chutes and Ladders as a drinking game. Every time you slide down a chute, you must change your PAM vendor. Why is that a good idea?
It's a good idea because when you change your PAM vendor, you really kind of evaluate kind of the needs of your organization. Your business requirements always stay fresh.
Good.